Peace be upon you. I'm Yusuf Mati. Welcome to the second video in our series. In this series, we're discussing pressure vessel inspection. As I mentioned before, our focus will be on the practical side, while still referring to the relevant codes and standards whenever necessary. In the previous video, we discussed the objectives of this playlist and the knowledge you will gain from it. We also briefly introduced the course framework, which consists of 5 main sections, and reviewed the main reference set in pressure vessel inspection. Today, we'll begin by defining inspection. Inspection is an activity that involves examining, analyzing, and evaluating equipment such as pressure vessels, piping, storage tanks, or any other type of equipment. Inspection may be planned and scheduled, whether every 2 years, every 3 years, or based on the equipment condition, depending on the inspection strategy. It can also be unplanned. For example, after a failure or when deterioration, corrosion, or damage is observed and a work order or work request is issued for inspection. During inspection, we evaluate the actual condition of the pressure vessel, checking for corrosion, deterioration, or any abnormal findings. We also focus heavily on safety, even if the vessel itself is in good condition. We also inspect the steel structure, handrails, midrails, monkey ladders, and access platforms to ensure they are safe to use. We also verify that the equipment continue operating safely after completing the inspection. We provide recommended corrective actions such as repair, replacement, or any other action depending on the findings. Why do we perform inspections? First, to ensure safe operation, especially when equipment contains hazardous fluids or operates under pressure. Corrosion, cracking, or other damage mechanisms can eventually lead to failure, explosions, or the release of hazardous materials, which may affect people, the environment, and plant productivity. Inspection also allows us to understand the condition of every asset within the plant. For example, one vessel may be in severe condition, another in moderate condition, while another may be in excellent condition. This helps us prioritize our work. Inspection also enables us to identify the active damage mechanism, whether it is corrosion, cracking, or another degradation mechanism, allowing us to monitor it effectively. It also helps us estimate equipment's remaining service life and corrosion rate. Routine inspection reduces the likelihood of failure and minimizes the risk of unplanned shutdowns, which directly improves plant productivity and reliability. Regular inspections also build a valuable inspection history, which is essential for implementing an RB program. Historical inspection data is one of the key inputs record for risk-based inspection. Now let's define an authorized pressure vessel. Inspector. An authorized pressure vessel. Inspector is a qualified and certified individual recognized by the American Petroleum Institute API to perform inspections in accordance with API 510. The inspector is responsible for performing internal, external, and on-stream inspections, evaluating equipment condition, calculating corrosion rate, remaining life, and completing the assessment. The inspector also verifies that all indications comply with applicable codes and standards, ensuring there are no unacceptable defects. The inspector confirms that the equipment maintains its mechanical integrity and remains safe for operation. It can also be used for distillation and separation processes. It is also widely used in chemical reactions, whether in refineries or petrochemical plants. Pressure vessels come in many different forms. For example, they may be designed as drums or as reactors, which contain various internal components. Columns and towers also have either external appearance of pressure vessels. The header boxes of air coolers, where the flow is collected before entering or leaving the tubes, are also considered pressure vessels. Spherical vessels are another type of pressure vessel. Pressure vessels may be installed in either a vertical orientation or a horizontal orientation. We'll discuss their supports later. For now, I'm simply showing you common pressure vessel configurations. Now let's discuss the components of a pressure vessel. Pressure vessel components are divided into two categories: pressure parts and non-pressure parts. Pressure parts are the components that contain the pressure and are directly exposed to the process fluid. Pressure parts include the shell, heads, nozzles, flanges, and welds. Let's look at the illustration. This cylindrical section is called the shell, which is directly subjected to the internal pressure at both ends. We have the heads, which also withstand the internal pressure. There are several head configurations, which we'll discuss shortly: the nozzles, flanges, and the circumferential welds joining the shell and heads are all considered pressure parts. The same applies to the nozzle welds. These components form the pressure boundary. Returning to our illustration, the shell is cylindric with two heads and multiple nozzles. The most common head types include ellipsoid heads, toruspherical heads, and hemispherical heads. Now let's move to the second category, which is non-pressure parts. These are components that are part of the vessel, but are not directly exposed to the internal pressure. Examples include internal components, support structures, and various attached accessories. Some pressure vessels are equipped with pressure relief devices, such as pressure safety valves, PSVs, relief valves, control valves, and other fittings. These accessories should always be included during inspection, because they may not have their own dedicated inspection plans. Pressure vessels are also provided with different support types. The three most common supports are skirt supports, saddle supports, and leg supports. Each vessel must also have a proper grounding system to safely dissipate static electricity. We should also inspect all installed instruments, such as pressure gauges, temperature gauges, and level indicators. Their overall condition and process connection should always be verified. It's very common to find dissimilar metals, such as stainless steel connected to carbon steel, which may create additional inspection concerns. We should also inspect the supporting steel structure. Many pressure vessels are elevated above ground level, supported by structural steel, platforms, stairs, and grating according to API 572, and frequently emphasized on the API 510 examination. The inspection should begin with the access platform. These structures provide safe access to the vessel, whether the vessel is elevated or installed at ground level. Inspectors rely on them to safely reach upper sections of the vessel. Therefore, the grating, handrails, mid-rails, ladders, and stairs must all be inspected for corrosion or damage, since they directly affect personal safety. Next, let's briefly review some of the common pressure vessel internals depending on the vessel service. You may find baffles, diffusers, distribution pipes, trays, demister pads, and other internal components designed for process performance. We'll discuss each of these in more detail later. Packing, catalyst beds, and other internals are also commonly found. We'll take a quick look at these in the following slides. Before that, let's review the vessel supports. This support is called a saddle support. It is commonly used for horizontal pressure vessels with relatively smaller medium-sized vessels. For larger vessels, a saddle support may not be sufficient, so a skirt support is typically used instead. The skirt is a cylindrical section welded to the bottom head and extends down to the foundation, supporting the vessel's weight. Now let's move on to the vessel internals. These are examples of pressure vessel internals. Baffles are used. For example, to separate oil and water when the process fluid enters through the inlet nozzle. The water settles at the bottom while the oil remains at the top, allowing effective phase separation. The upper outlet discharges the oil, while the lower outlet removes the water near the drain nozzle or the lower outlet. You'll often find a vortex breaker. Its purpose is to prevent vortex formation and turbulence during fluid discharge. This is an important component to inspect, because cracks are frequently found at its welds, either to the nozzle or to the vessel bottom. These welds are often examined using NDT methods, such as magnetic particle testing MT or liquid penetrant testing PT. A demister pad is used when the gas stream contains liquid droplets or contaminants. allowing the liquid to be separated from the gas. Another common internal is the impingement plate. It is installed the inlet nuts later protect the vessel wall from erosion caused by high velocity flow. This is another example for the demister pad. All internal components must be carefully inspected. For example, the demister pad should be checked to ensure there are no tears, damage, or missing sections that could reduce separation efficiency. The baffles should also be inspected, especially their fuller welds, which connect them to the vessel shell. These welds are commonly examined using TOR-MT. The overall condition of the demister pad should also be verified during inspection. This is an example if a diffuser. It is installed. The inlet nuts later distribute the incoming flow more uniformly. When it is removed, it should be thoroughly inspected for cracks, deformation, or loose bolts and nuts. This helps prevent component failure during operation. Here is an example for distribution pipe, which distributes incoming process fluid. The internal structure may also include a packing, support grids, or catalyst beds, depending on the service. These are just a few examples of common vessel internals. We'll stop here for today's video. I know this introduction was a bit longer than usual, but I wanted to complete that introductory section. In the next video, we'll begin discussing the most common inspection findings, including corrosion, cracking, and other damage mechanisms. If you have any suggestions, comments, or notice anything that could be improved, please leave a comment below or connect with me on LinkedIn. I hope we continue learning together throughout this series. May this content benefit you all. Thank you for watching.